Good morning. DACAthon is rolling on, and so we're here with Michael Yeates. I almost wanted to call you Yeates, and then I was like, nope, it's not anywhere near as funny as anyone thinks it is. And of course, we got that was an inside joke from a couple of seconds ago. And of course, we have EOSIO USA Michael and my dear friend Jimmy D. So EOSIO USA Michael, you're driving this train again, aren't you?
I guess I am. We might be driving it into a tree, but why not, right?
I mean, it'll be the tree deserved it. You guys up for doing some gratitudes first thing on a Monday morning?
Sure.
All right. Let's rock and roll.
Yates may not have time to watch the show much. They kind of always start off with posting a gratitude for things that you're thankful for.
Yeah,
I did my gratitudes. Yeah, the other week.
Oh, that's right. You were here for that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot you hopped on one of the other ones.
Yeah, he's an OG now. Mr. Yeates, why don't we start with you?
So it was Mother's Day yesterday in the UK. So I'm grateful for my mother and for my wife for being a mother. For mothers everywhere, let's say. You're trying to put that into a very concise.
Yes. Thank you for the edit. Hey Jimmy, take notes. Nothing? Jimmy, that was hilarious. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry.
No sorries.
Me. I'm grateful I don't have to deal with daylight savings time.
True. I've been blowing Jimmy up. I'm like, I don't even know what time I'm supposed to be there. It was like 1 a.m. in the morning last night. I don't know. So
the worst part about it is yesterday I went the wrong way, and I'm like, huh? Why are you mailing me? Corey's like, we're going live. I'm like, that's not like, damn it. 2 hours. I was 2 hours off.
Can't even type this morning. All right. Mr. EOSIO USA.
I am thankful for M. Yates. He's taught me a lot.
Awesome. He's
broken a lot of my stuff, but I've learned a lot of the meantime.
Come on, you've broken a lot of your stuff too.
Oh, you haven't. You can hold a candle to what I've broken, but hey, there's a few BPs that'll get in there and kind of, hey, let's see if it'll do this, and it's just like, hey, your BP is about to go down. Click. Holy shit. So what are you thankful for, Corey?
Honestly, you guys. Like, I get to hang out with like super brains all the time, and I'm just really grateful for that. It has dramatically increased the quality of my conversations and the quality of my entire life.
Fair enough. Well, like I say, you got one of the bigger brains in the room. That's what I've always said. That there's a couple of those BP techs that I don't want to say I fear, but I respect. And
hey, sorry, that's how dumb I am. I was actually like writing them in, like showing all the stuff off. I'm like, oh look, it's all pretty and stuff, and it wasn't even true. Anyway, sorry, EOSIO, go ahead. I took some screenshots anyway, so we'll send them over to you guys.
Fair enough.
All right. I'm going to pop out for 1 second because I'm making coffee. I will be right back.
All right, can I make coffee too? Because I was in the middle of it. I'm going to make coffee as well. Let's all make coffee 1 second.
Jimmy, EOSIO USA, Mike, talk amongst yourselves.
As I said, we all just drop off at the same time.
Yeah, right? Bye.
Coffee break. What was that? I'm getting perkleptic, whatever it was that I don't know, Saturday Night Live thing. Anyway, so happy Monday, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's been good. I guess we've been doing this for what, 5 days now, apparently. I guess the DAC is Thursday, so yeah. How do you feel about it so far? Because I think you've been here pretty much for everyone. So
well, at least all the morning sessions. Like I say, I get a little bit of a break in what are my afternoons, but yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Like I say, to see a lot of the turnout from all the different groups and folks from around the community kind of watching, and really cool to kind of get into the heads of some of the people that are behind, like we had Rob on yesterday and was talking about some of the lore, and even those of us that are intricately involved with the game didn't know many of the things, some of the backstory, as that's starting to come out. So that was really kind of cool. And mean, DACs in general, you know, we're celebrating DACs and blockchain-based governance, which Yeates knows quite a bit about. So that's been pretty cool to learn some of the groups and initiatives going forward on that.
Yeah. We were just talking about like the last 5 days of this show on the DACathon. Yeah, I think like most of the time we've actually had quite a focus on Alien Worlds. So I guess this will wrap it up. We had Soro and Rob and now you, Michael. So yeah, that's quite interesting. And yeah, like you said, you know, you were quite influential in the DAC DAO space, I guess, with your you know, EOS DAC. So that's kind of exciting. And
I enjoyed you confused me and the other Michael. That was fun. I was listening yesterday, but I was driving, so I couldn't comment.
Yeah, nobody was driving here.
No,
that's
we were just flailing around endlessly. Yeah, we weren't even driving the show.
So yeah, it's funny, and I shouldn't have confused that because you know we've been on calls about DACs before, so there was like I just there's too many people with the same names, and I always get confused.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's the other one. That's the smart Michael.
he's if you want to call him, just call him fake Michael. I think that's
welcome. And we're happy to have you. So you know, obviously, if anyone who doesn't know Michael, he's the creator of the Alien Worlds technology, and so I guess maybe to start off, if you could tell us what do you think is so awesome about DACs?
I just think it's a way that you can create these structures which would live on. Like for me, the real kind of like point where I realized that they were needed was when you realize that actually, you know, you're not going to be here forever, and you have to be able to pass these things on to other people. And like large PLC companies, it's very easy, you know, they have shareholders and they have boards of directors who are elected. But if you're just a small business owner, which I've always been, basically your business goes with you. So what you're creating, you know, that it can never outlast you. Whereas something like a DAC structure is very easy to build for a small business, and it can outlast you as well because the tokens can pass ownership and the control can move as well. So yeah, that's really when I started to think about how we can have these kind of structures where the control is fluid, it's not fixed on one person, and it's easy to move as well because we have the tokens which can pass between people.
It's a really interesting, you know, I wouldn't have I like them because they're fluid, but I wouldn't have thought like that was the reason. You know, like I like them because, like I said yesterday, you can drop in and out when you're busy, or different people can take on different, you know, roles that need to be taken, and they can have more control or be voted in and stuff like that. So, but it's good. Yeah, I don't know. Like we had a conversation in the Telegram today, Corey. I don't know if you saw it. It's like, what happens if the founders decide to leave? And I realized, oh yeah, we're in blockchain space. Like that's always a concern. Like I'm pretty sure the founders of the Uplift aren't going to decide to leave. Like, they could, I guess, you know, but it's kind of.
I mean, you will at one point. At some point, it's guaranteed you will leave. You will either get bored of it, or you know, God forbid, you'll die, or you just, you know, you won't be interested anymore, or you'll find something else that interests you more. So we need to kind of plan around that as it being an eventuality, because it is definitely going to happen.
Yeah, we were talking about. Sorry, go ahead, Yates.
No. It's just. That was
yeah, no, we've been thinking about this as well. I mean, and the sort of Vitalik was talking about, you know, something akin to sort of exit by DAC or what have you down the road, and I think that's you know, an interesting way to do it. It is interesting though. Like nobody's like, oh man, what if like Fortnite just goes away? Like, what if they just quit? Right? Like it should be a question, but it's not. Now, granted, like they don't have persistent sort of things, and they do have, to the point that Yates was talking about, you know, they have a corporation that you know has that sort of like it's kind of the permanent thing. And I think this is, you know, the DACs that keep getting described to me, and I keep trying to learn as much as I can about, seem to be that structure, right? It's that sort of information layer that allows for the thing to keep being persistent, and we're absolutely interested in making sure that something like that is in place. Like, we want these servers to be on for 1,000 years, like, until it doesn't mean anything anymore, because we've all uploaded into like some quantum realm.
I mean, you say that the company also is continuous, but it isn't necessarily. It can be closed down for regulatory reasons. It can be sued to oblivion. And then what happens with the community and the people and the software and everything? How does that progress beyond that? So it's kind of like a defense structure as well as a DAC. You know, it's very difficult to attack and to take down because it's decentralized. So actually it can kind of, you can lose an arm or a leg and it still kind of continues. It can regrow those pieces and then just keep going.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this, and you know, we're gonna look into it until we figure out how to make it happen. I feel, you know, I'm speaking for a lot of people when I say that. So, you know, take that with
I mean, the technology is very early. I don't think anyone should be jumping.
Yeah, we're not gonna rushing, but yeah, it just
like,
we're
crazy. We just jump in and do things.
Well, it was in space, yay! But it is such an awesome proof of concept, right? I think as an even as an educational tool, it's sort of providing a framework. It's, you know, a game and it's fun, and like, you know, the cabal is, you know, losing ground to crypto monkeys all the time, yippity doo-dah. But like that it's the first sort of description anyway. Like, I'm basically learning about how this DAC is going to work so that I can sort of see where the rubber is going to hit the road in governance in this game. And it helped me. Like, I've been trying to learn a lot about this stuff this year because I didn't really know anything. And that just sort of gave me that example that I needed to sort of look at how this stuff was all going to work out.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see how the gamification of it kind of goes, you know, because I mean, we've been running DACs off a DAC factory and all sorts of, you know, organized DACs, but at least I can't think of many that are intentionally gamed to kind of pit each other against themselves, you know, I mean, in a fun way. But, you know, to have multiple DACs and DAOs in the same bubble and see how different, you know, alliances and whatnot, you know, react, you know, or some backroom deals and under the table and sneaking in for the kill shot, or some, you know, front line and center and organically growing, however you want to look at that. So I'm curious to see how, once you empower, I don't know, normies, you know, and those that haven't been driving corporations with DACs for years, you know, what do they do? When do they realize that, hey, we can all get together, we have a little bit of a budget, we have some competition, you know, let's see where they take it. So that's really going to be neat to see how the Alien Worlds has gamified the DACs out of things.
I mean, that's how the real world is going to happen, right? There's going to be a lot of them, and they will be in competition with each other. So,
yeah, I mean, life, that's how it works, right? But, you know, in I guess up to this point with a lot of the all the EOSO chains, you know, I mean, they're very rarely used at the same, you know, I mean, they're used the same way, but they're two different, you know, autonomous organizations with two different end games. So, you know, they know of each other, they do the same thing, but they're not, well, this person's doing this, maybe we should do this, or, you know, I mean, really kind of smashing them together and gamifying it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see kind of where it goes. So, I mean, I don't know, do you want to, for anybody that may have missed the 1,800 calls we've had talking about it up till now, but gives a little background on, you know, how DACs and DAOs are heavily integrated into Alien Worlds and that structure. And I think it's about to start going live and start rocking and rolling, right?
Yeah, so each planet is a DAO itself. And we don't run the same kind of DAO structure that they run on Ethereum. On Ethereum, they tend to have this what they call liquid democracy, which is where every token holder has equal votes within the final decisions. We have a representative democracy whereby the token holders just elect a council who run the DAO. And then those council members, they have say over the actual budgetary decisions and any kind of decisions that need to be made.
I know some places that are like that.
Yeah. And we made that decision quite early within EOS DAC, just because it's more efficient. Like we felt, if you look at the DAOs on Ethereum, most of them are actually just controlled by like one single account, or very few accounts, like 2 or 3 accounts. So if you have 1,000 people and they all have equal say, and you need 500 of them to agree, it's going to be very hard to actually come to consensus. Just because people generally, unless they're involved very heavily with that DAO, they're busy, you know, they got their own lives, and that's not the most important thing in their life. So they generally wouldn't vote so much. So we created this structure where we have a small council who can run the day-to-day things and make sure that actually things keep ticking on, because a lot of people think that with a DAO, the worst thing that can happen is that people take it over and then they start doing evil things, and then that's the worst thing that can ever happen. But actually the worst thing that can happen is that people can't make a decision, and that it just kind of grinds to a halt. And
we call that paralysis by analysis over here, you know, just
I mean,
make it past. And as BPs, we've seen that in action with just 20 people, 21 people, much less 500 or 1,000, you know. I mean, just
I mean, with the BP, you have to kick them sometimes, right? So, and that's 21 people who are paid to be in that position and are supposed to be active. So yeah, we have these 5 people who are elected for each council for each planet, and 3 of them are required to make a decision. So it should be quite quick, fast decision making, and they have control over the entire budget of the planet, and they actually have control over the configuration of the DAO as well. That's probably going to be like a second level kind of thing that they work out. I think the first thing that people are going to realize is that they have this trillion to spend. Go on, Jimmy. You need to unmute yourself though.
Yeah, so I have a question, because I've worked for some DACs that have been set up with the EOS DAC, and a lot of times, like sometimes the structure is that like only if you're a DAC member can you vote. So I was just curious like how that's going to work with the planets. Like if there's only 5 people, is it everyone that has a stake, or everyone that stakes their trillium gets to vote on those 5 people? Can you maybe talk about that?
Yeah, so if you've noticed that when you stake your trillium, when you stake it towards a particular planet, you actually receive some other tokens in return. Like you'll receive NER tokens or MAG tokens, and those are the planet tokens, and those are used for voting. So they're actually transferable as well.
Or the elected officials, so to say, the 5 for the planet, right?
We're calling them the council members, yeah. So there's 5. And yeah, those tokens are used for voting. We don't have the same thing as like Vigor. I think that's probably what you're thinking of. Vigor has a way to only allow the people who are elected to vote for other people, whereas we have it's any token holder, which is anybody who stakes. Of course, the planets can change that. There's no reason why they can't change that later, but the default is to have it EOS DAC style rather than Vigor style.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure about that, because you know I was never an active member of the EOS DAC per se, but I was of some other ones that use the software, so I didn't.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully this is how kind of each planet's gonna diverge from each other, is that they will start changing the settings and tweaking the voting algorithms and everything. To begin with, it's all just bog standard out of the box stuff. Because I think people are going to take a while to get their heads around it and work out exactly what you can and cannot do. Because I think it's still a little bit vague for some people, and you don't really learn until you actually do it. You know, actually performing that duty is what's really going to teach people what they can and can't do.
I'm sure there are some organizations out there that'll be happy to take that newly granted permission and framework and bend it in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things they can do. There's a lot of configuration settings, and a lot of the software is quite flexible to allow for example, you can change how people are elected completely. You can change how the staking works. You can change a lot of things, but just people don't really know that yet. So the only way to know how to do it is to dig through the code and work it out for yourself. So I think it's going to take people a little bit of time to do that, unless the federation starts.
Do you guys eventually envision writing in game or in under the Alien Worlds kind of mothership some of those tools to manage what you can? Obviously, you won't be able to redeploy a contract, but through a web page. But do you plan on developing that and trying to include it in game, or are you kind of letting? I mean, here y'all have control. Y'all can write your own interfaces, deciding on what y'all are going to do, and just kind of leave it open as a framework.
Yeah, I think, well, to begin with, we're going to make the interface very simple, so that when you're an elected council member, you'll just have the ability to transfer tokens and then vote on the transfer of those tokens. Some of those transfers could be to repay or to reward the stakers. So we have this staking pool whereby at the beginning it's 1 trillion to 1 planet token, but you can add to that pot, and then that would break the 1-to-1 ratio between the planet token and the trillium, so that when people unstake, they'll receive more trillium based on how much was added. So it's a way to reward staking. So yeah, those are the only two simple features that we're going to add, and then we're going to listen to people and work out what extra is needed. And then on top of that, I'm sure some people are going to start writing their own interfaces and their own custom stuff for what they want to do. I mean, people are already doing that, so that's cool. And we want to encourage that as much as possible. It's always been the case that our interface isn't the only interface into the game. That's for sure. So yeah, we definitely encourage all kinds of freelance work going on outside of the Federation.
Yeah, well, and there's been different services and frameworks and different things that have kind of spun up, and that's the beauty of the blockchain game, that it's all out there and it's all kind of public info. You just got to decide how you want to view it, display it, do whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even the NFTs are not, they're not controlled exclusively by us. They're owned by the people who play the game. So whatever they do with them is whatever they do with them. If they decide to create a sub game that runs alongside, then that's totally up to them. The only games we control is the mining game and in the future the Thunderdome. But the planets control the trillium, so they can do whatever they like with it eventually. For now, we just allocate 80% towards the mining game as a default, but in the future they'll be able to change that as well. So yeah, one step at a time. It's not all going to happen overnight straight away. It's a lot of
next week. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a lot of components that have to come together, and it's quite frightening as well to kind of launch these decentralized things, because the point at which they go from being centralized, controlled by the Federation, to becoming controlled by the elected council is a very hairy time for us, because you can't have it flip over via a very low voltage. So like, you can't have 1,000 trillion dictate who runs the DAO and then controls it and then takes 1,000,000 trillion, because that's what they own now. So we're going to have to at some point set levels for when each DAO is opened. And it may well be that like Magor, Kavian, and Neri get opened up way before the other three, because they have a lot more stake behind them, which means they're probably a lot more secure than the other ones. So yeah, well, it's a very scary time
until things are unstaked and swung around in masses.
Yeah, and at the moment people aren't really staking so much, or maybe they are, but they could stake more if there was more at stake, if there was more more to do with it. So things can swing very wildly, and yeah, it's very nerve-wracking for us to unlock these things at the right time.
Well, I think you know that all computer nerds have a little evil in them, even if it's for the greater good. Is they'll go and push buttons and, well, can I do this? And so yeah, it's definitely
yeah. So we're releasing one step at a time, and the first step is that everybody's just going to throw their hat in the ring and say that they want to stand as council members, and that will be very, very soon, very shortly. We will be opening up that. So I hope to see some of you guys, definitely.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'll have to try to see if I can fill out the form. I'll see if I can get some votes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And already we're seeing people, like there's a couple of people who are kind of standing for election and then starting to put together their you know, what is it called, where they get votes.
Campaign,
yeah, their campaign promises. They're formulating these already, so it's going to be very interesting, and we're going to leave it open for definitely a few weeks, probably a month or two, just to make sure everybody's got the chance to think about it and throw their hats in.
I mean, it's kind of interesting, you know, from a DAC DAO perspective, looking at like governance of planets. I mean, you must have, even if not without realizing it, like anticipated something like the cabal or something like these alliances. I mean,
yeah.
Do you want to speak on that a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely one of the things that we did predict. I mean, it's fairly obvious that people are going to form into groups, and that's kind of what we wanted them to do. It's communities, right? So this is exactly what we expected. There's definitely a lot of things we didn't expect. A lot of the competitions, like we thought people would run like competitions and somehow try to find ways for people to mine on their land, but we didn't really anticipate, or I didn't anticipate, like just how full on they would go. Like people like the Crypto Monkeys and even the you know, the horrors guys, they've really jumped in and started throwing their NFTs around and encouraging people to mine on their land. And like we thought to begin with, it's just going to be people raising and lowering their commission rates, which happened in the first week or two. Like you saw a lot of, commission only 10%. Commission
race to the bottom, as we called that, you know?
Yeah, but luckily that quickly stopped. And what we hoped would be that the people add value, which is what they've started to do, which I think is really good to see that there's actually
what's interesting
value created there.
We're all kind of looking at, you know, as normal landowners, you know, I mean, you spend a little bit of money, you're looking for a little ROI, or, you know, there's a reason, you know, your commissions are still set where they are. But these other projects, you know, I mean, they have a greater vision or a, you know, bigger purpose, so to say. So they're going in and dropping their commissions to zeros or, you know, 1% and stuff like that. Just, it's more about the exposure. It's more about the distribution as much as ROI or any type of, you know, mining rewards or offsetting the cost. It's almost, you know, a marketing cost for some of these projects as opposed to a revenue generating service, you know.
And it is really interesting to see that the mining has become like an NFT distribution strategy.
Correct. I mean, I like it better than airdrops. You know how that's worked out for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
You know.
And we're kind of doing that as well with the art thing that we're bringing on board, the Alien Worlds art. That's going to be a very promotional kind of thing for different artists, and hopefully it's 50-50. You know, we get a good thing with dropping it on our miners, and they get a good thing with some extra, you know, promotion and visibility for their stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting.
I actually don't know about that. Like, are these the same artists that did your cards as well, or are they a different source?
No, they're totally new artists. We've commissioned actual artists to go out and produce Alien Worlds inspired artwork. Some of them are like new artists and upcoming artists, and some of them are actually well known within the community and broader as well. Some of them are quite big, and where the negotiations are a lot harder with those guys. So I think that's what's been going on. To be honest, I'm not involved with the project at all, but Rob has been involved quite heavily, and I think Michael, you've been.
Yeah, on the back end technical side, related to the drop, and talked to Morty as well. You know, he's been driving a lot of that. So anyway, yeah, there's definitely, as a distribution mechanism, it has surprised me, in a good way. You know, that's become an outlet for, you know, and I mean, I got to go look at the stats. What, 4,000, 5,000 miners an hour that are active? You know, I mean, 10,000, I don't know, 20,000 lifetime or something crazy, right? So, I mean, the numbers of visibility accounts, you know, the touch points is somewhat amazing, you know.
Hey, just a little bit of a pivot, but I have a friend, Joachim the Swede's blowing up my Telegram. I was like, hey, can you ask them if they're going to release any planets? So this might be your when question, Yates. Like, and so feel free to use the meme they made about me yelling at people about just not wanting to get asked when. But is that on that, like doing another planet or another sale on your guys' roadmap at all? You're muted, by the way.
It's definitely something that's possible. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say for now. It's difficult to possibly, let's say, bring on board a large community with a lot of tokens without upsetting everybody else and kind of throwing all the dynamics off. So yeah, we're thinking very, very hard about how we can actually onboard a lot of new players with an extra planet or maybe something along those lines, and then how the formulas will work out for the Trillium allocations. And yeah, it's definitely something that's possible. It's always been on the cards, and stay tuned.
All right, sounds good.
And if I remember right, maybe back in the day, there was it needs some agreement from the landowners, or I mean, you're the Federation, I guess you can do whatever, but I think the idea was that you just weren't going to spin up new planets just on the fly. I mean, there would need to be some coordination.
We haven't got anything there that would require. The landowners have a veto over how much the planet allocates to mining, so they have a say over that. And we've always said that we're gonna look at it. We're gonna make sure that, you know, the existing players aren't completely screwed by a new planet joining. But also they would potentially benefit from a new planet joining. So there's a definite balancing line there that we have to be aware of. But we are definitely making sure that, you know, people aren't disadvantaged by new planets joining. Because we could just print off 1,000 new planets and start selling land left, right, and center, but we're not going to do that because that's obviously detrimental to the game as a whole. But yeah, if we found a way to bring on a planet which was beneficial to everybody, then we definitely would. And we're working very hard to work out the sums and everything for that.
I mean, probably the CSX, but probably Dwayne's in the comments saying, you know, Uplift planet. So yeah, there would definitely be disadvantage to everyone else if Uplift got a planet, because, you know, I've heard Uplifts, they're really cool.
They have all the players, yeah. So, I think Uplift, I think with definitely there is going to be some integration between Uplift World and Alien Worlds, but how it actually happens, I don't know.
Yeah, that's where we're at. Like, we know, I feel like we're all like almost siblings in this space, and we're sort of the younger bumbling sibling. I mean, we're iterating, you know, quickly. You guys, you know, have always thought all of your stuff through, and we're thinking it through after we jump out of the plane. But yeah, it just
through things a little.
Yeah, it makes me feel a lot better, because I'm just like,
This is a new industry. It's not like we have
Right.
anything else to look towards to say, oh yeah, this is the correct way to do this. It's all completely new, and we are going to make mistakes. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that one of the planets is going to totally collapse into itself. And of course.
See,
but
you added new planets, and now you can iterate. So because you guys are using Trillium, and this is sort of like sparked a conversation that I was having with some people on our team yesterday. We've got plans for new maps for the uplift, like a bunch of them, and we did this raise for the rewards pool, which is essentially our Trillium only. We just sold a bunch of art, and now we have that wax pool or whatever. Right? So part of what I started thinking yesterday is like, what happens if we, because I want to do another sort of Genesis NFT run for each map. Right, because then it kind of goes into the probes that we're doing, and people want to get the deal where you get a little bit more rail if you have the thing. Like, so just kind of the whole process that we just did, while it was a little complicated as we were duct taping it together, it kind of worked, right? And so we have a couple million in the rewards pool, and adding a whole other planet without doing that also seems bad. To your point, right? You've just diluted the rewards pool for everybody else. That was the plan. Everyone was kind of okay with it because we've got a bunch of ways to basically incentivize players to, like, we've got ways for the rewards pool to grow, basically, right? So that's always been the plan. But I'm really liking the idea the more I think about it of, we're going to spin up a survival map. Say we do a rewards pool run, a Genesis run, just for that. People can grab those things if they want. If they're planning on buying land, they're going to get some benefits or whatever. Now it's got its own rewards pool, and they can then start iterating themselves and coming up with awesome ideas to be growing that, right? Because we've got like a slate of like probably a half dozen ways to do it. The main way is, half of the secondary market percentage is going to go into the rewards pool for whatever area, if we decentralize it or if we keep it all in one pool, either way, right? So as at least a method to slow down the shrinkage, if not grow it. I'm sort of fascinated now with having these different areas being able to iterate themselves and innovate themselves economically to try and keep their areas spun up. So, do you have any thoughts about that ridiculous rant?
It was insane rant. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was good. It reminded me a lot of some of my insane rants.
I feel like I mean, thank you is what I'm going to say.
It's like, do you get halfway through and you think, oh God, everybody's lost it now. Everybody's just got glazed eyes.
That's right.
That's exactly.
Am I the only one on this weird in this boat? Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't looked in deeply enough to know how everything is working. I can't even spin up a Minecraft thing, to be honest. I'm going to be quite honest there. I've never jumped into Minecraft, and I guess I'm going to have to soon. All I know is that
hold your hand through it, Yates. I learned last week, so I'm a pro now.
Yeah, so all I know is that the economic layer is something that we're definitely, that's the bit that we're taking hold of. It's not the world layer, it's not the 3D space, it's the economic layer of the tokens and the allocation of those tokens. So I think within the alien worlds, we would definitely have, within our little area, we can definitely kind of allocate some of that trillium within there and do something based on how people interact with our land. And I think, yeah, probably each area should have their own economics. They should have their own token, and they should work out how to do it in an individual way. I think experimentation is the key now. I think we definitely need to experiment with lots of different ways of doing tokens and allocating, and new economics is the key. And not be afraid to fail as well. Like, a lot of people are very afraid to fail, but it's part of life, it's going to happen. And when you fail, it's always a learning experience that you'll take and make something better. So yeah, I really need to look into the uplift world a lot more. I've got some rail. I've got some railway. I didn't really know what it was, but I just bought it because I thought
You don't know what it is either. It's a random voucher right now.
yeah, I don't really know what it is. And then apparently I get some free land, but I missed the land sale because we were on another call. There was something going on at the time, and I'm like, damn, I looked on the thing and there was land selling, and I thought,
there were people on that call that missed it. It was really quick.
So I participated in the last Our Planet sale, and I really like what they did. Like they had the because like now, you know, was it really cool to like sell out in under 60 seconds? Of course it is. But like, does that mean that EOS USA created 1,000 bots so he could buy it all himself? Like maybe, I don't know, right? Like that, you know.
For the record, I didn't. I got zero. I had to buy after market.
You seriously got zero? Oh, dude, yeah. Wow. I don't even understand what's happening. Where are we?
I was on these DACathon calls. Every time there's a sale, I'm on one of these calls going
yeah.
So I'm like, Lisa.
Yeah, so they slowed it down to like, you know, one or like 2 claims of the small one claim of the bigger one. And you know, that's not really how we run it, but we could just do like 1 claim of each potential different kind of package.
It doesn't stop us though. It doesn't stop you.
No, it doesn't. But it like I feel like it slowed it down to the point where everybody that was trying to get one like got one, right? But in this last one, there was a bunch of people that were just trying to get 1 piece of land that came back and be like, seriously, what? It was impossible to do it. So yeah, we're just trying to figure out a way. Because again, like obviously, selling out is great, but getting actual humans building in the actual game is the whole point. And that, like, to me, that's the cornerstone of the value proposition is people actually in there, you know, exhibiting some creativity and being noisy and visual. It creates like a lot of content and stuff. So that's definitely something that's on our mind to slow it down however we can. So that,
you know what we did? We did the Dutch auction, which really slowed it down.
That was really interesting.
It ran for a day and a half with nobody buying anything. You could have bought stuff.
It ran for like 23 hours, hit and miss. Here we go, and then it was bam.
Right. Somebody bought.
Everybody had a chance to buy. Everyone had a chance to buy for many hours. We went through the whole time zones. You know, so if people in Asia, people in America, they all had a chance to buy at some point. But they don't buy until the last minute, and then they all complain that they couldn't get in. But
did you explain how that Dutch? Yeah, you did explain how the Dutch auction worked.
Yeah. We had pre-orders as well, and we had all kinds of stuff. So there was plenty of opportunity for people to get in. But the mentality is that they just want in at the lowest possible price.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, I would have been like that too.
Yeah. Anders, particularly, he was like, I'm going in at the lowest point, and we were like, screw you. And he was like, no, I'm going to get it. And we're like, you're not going to get it. And then in the end, he didn't get it. So I'm very happy that he missed out.
Oh, well, and then for the record, he did get something. He had that legendary.
Oh, he got a lot, but he had a lot. He had a lot in at the very lowest price. And we were like,
Well, I was going to say on that is that those of us that had stacks of wax to be able to play around with is that you could go in and stack them in the lower orders. And then be like, well, if it doesn't make it that far, I'll have a little extra wax to stack them a little higher. So, you know, we'd kind of,
Yeah, I think it's worked pretty well. I guess, you know, we tweaked it a lot. We did change it between the different sales that we did. But I think it really kind of does allow everybody in. And honestly, this, you know, speaking of someone who could write a bot, this sale thing, where it's like an instant sale, like if you want to take advantage of it, you could take advantage of all of it. You could take the whole lot quite easily. If you had the wax to buy all of the Our Planet, and you could buy every single one.
That's why I say I'm scared of Yeates, because he has the power to do the things like that. He's not as evil as, you know, the end game, but
I only use my powers for good. But I can see that, you know, this is very exploitable. It could definitely be taken over. I know they're experimenting with captures and things. Like having a capture, that would stop the bots, but actually it would probably just cause another point of failure. So everyone goes to try the capture, and the capture fails, or the server behind the capture fails, and then everybody starts crying that it stopped working. So,
what about price?
Price?
What if we ran some analytics and because like basically right now you can be more or less certain that there is like an argument that like basically you could look at it like, okay, if I get it in this, maybe I 2x, maybe I 3x, maybe I 4x. And that's a huge incentive, right? We're like, hey, like if you can make this work, you could double your money just by stealing all their supply and doing like it's like ticket scalping or whatever, right? Like basically running that through. So and again, like this would be just a guess, but do you have any thoughts about setting the price high enough so that it's basically going to come in more or less where that sort of initial resting point might have been as far as the price bouncing?
Yeah, I think that's what we did as well. We set the price really high for our initial.
I guess that the Dutch thing kind of does that.
Yeah, and then people decide where they want to come in. Like the very first sale with the very first price point was actually really high, but that guaranteed you the first mints. So we didn't have this kind of first mint rush.
Well, and another writer on that, y'all did an interesting piece where you like did some raffle tickets based off of where you were in that queue. So if you shot for the moon and bought it for $500 a pack, you still got, I don't know, it was like 36 times more luck to be able to get. There was a giveaway of a one of one.
Cogs crossover.
Yeah. So they actually, not only the Dutch auction and the pricing kind of allowed some that open-ended distribution for everybody, but it also allowed some incentive for if you are trying to get in early, or you got some extra money, and want to support the cause. You got an added benefit from jumping in early, not just the early mints. And somebody got that lucky one of one with EOSIO or whatever it is.
EOSIO.
The metaverse.
Yeah. So that was really cool. And I think the economic constraints are way better than technical constraints, because someone's going to break your technical protections at some point. So if you can make it economic protections, which is what we did, we just put the price really high. So if you want in, you can get in, but it's like you're going to have to really make sure it's for you and you're not flipping. And
right. But you still saw the rush. I mean, it ran all the way. You got a few people. What? How many were sold in those first packs? Maybe 50, and then once
I think we went, maybe a couple of hundred until it got kind of crazy. And it kind of slowly picked up, but then it's like, as soon as people start seeing that everyone's buying,
I remember that. I was
like, right now.
I was like a 4-year birthday party on my phone in the corner, and all of a sudden it was like, boom, there went 100, boom, there went 100, and I went, oh, it start buying.
I think even I was, I missed out because I was going to go and buy some, and I went to make a coffee, and I came back, and it's like they had all gone. It was like within that few seconds, it was like, oh, damn, I could have bought a couple more just earlier, but
well, in hindsight, we always go, man, because that's worked out pretty well. But
I mean, it was always going to be a good sell. I don't think people really appreciated at the time just the kind of importance of the land. They But I think with the uplift,
honestly, didn't, because I picked up a few on the aftermarket, for little above whatever the pack cost was, and of course that worked out in my favor as well.
Yeah. So I missed out on my uplift land. I'm very upset, even though I don't really understand what it is. But I think I'm getting some free stuff.
Right? How about this?
Yeah, so
you're my boy. I'll be happy to trade you a random uplift land for that island on Valleys that you got. I'll give you my 10 pack.
Wow, this is escalating quickly. So we do have one of the community pods, which is like the 250 and the ring of 50s that's going to Alien World. So I'm sure they could save you one of the 50s. But yeah, I think like as far as I think about how best to create an awesome integrated experience between the uplift and Alien Worlds, like for at least a half an hour a day. Like I just want to figure it out. And I know like I've been having great conversations with
more than that. I wanted to do it.
Yeah, no, like there's ways to do it. But it's a matter of like, balancing the disparate economies now yeah, especially now that there's the kind of valuations on both sides, there are different game types on both sides. There's going to be different ways that we're incentivized. So it's just a matter of making it all work.
Yeah.
But we're going to figure it out.
We will. Like I said, it's definitely going to happen. It's just a case of how we do it and technically how long it takes to pull everything together. I know you've got some guys working technically behind the scenes, so
yes,
sure
can confirm. I mean, we need to get our rewards thing working before we've got probably a good 2 or 3 weeks of sort of head down, actually deliver on the MVP, and then we'll start looking at scaling. Granted, like once
when is it going to be ready? Do you know
when?
Read the pin message.
Yeah, that meme that came out yesterday. Just say when one more time.
I missed that rant. I heard that you went on one, but
a little
totally
bit.
how you feel.
A little bit.
We had this "why always delay" was the kind of the mantra that we used to get in EOS DAC. It's like, why always delay? Why are you always delaying? And it's like, these things are hard. These things take time, and you don't want to rush it out. You don't want to screw it up and then have, just ruin everything basically, or have to restart or do something incredibly embarrassing. So,
right.
Yeah, and they're complicated.
There's so many of these games that wait and wait and wait, and all the hype, and eventually it's coming out next year, as opposed to well, look, why don't release? And it's interesting. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And I just know this from talking to you and hearing some things, that part of the reason why you've released the different features at different stages here is to amp up that economic, is to allow the Trillium to get out to the hands, is to allow, the planets to find themselves and get 1 million stakes as opposed to 1,000 stakes, that most people think that it's just, I don't know, Yeates is spending half his days, hanging out on his island on Bailey's. He doesn't ever do anything. ever.
Just chilling out.
Yeah, he's just hanging out. But
there's a reason. If we had the voting from day one, nobody had any tokens. So what are you going to vote?
Some people had some tokens and would have used them explicitly how you didn't want them to.
There was a couple of people. Yeah, there were some people, team members and stuff, who had some tokens, and yeah, we can't have like 4 or 5 people dictating every planet and taking over and then just doing whatever they want. It's not going to create a very nice atmosphere. So the first part was the distribution with the mining, which is, has to take time. It has to happen for some months before you can do anything.
I get you. This is a game. It's not a blockchain. You can't have people dictating where you go, where you mine, what you do.
The game economic. That's what the biggest thing was. Like I said, I never even took. I mean, obviously, from a technical side, it's easier to release things in pieces and make sure you get it right. But like I said, the light bulb went off as some of these conversations with Yeates was. I mean, they're intentionally, and unintentionally, releasing it in little chunks and phases to help with the development of the gameplay, because it's a game, but it's also blockchain tokenomics. I mean, you emit a massive amount and you're going to crush the markets, so there's use cases and things like that, and then releasing shining, and then releasing staking, and now the governance. So kind of building up to the economics of the game just as much as, well, hell, we're still actually writing some of the pieces.
Actually, most of the pieces are already written. A lot of it is just gluing them together. Like all of the DAC stuff is already written. It's been written for years. Like we were using it with EOS DAC. It's been used on Vigor. It's everywhere. It's been used. It's all there. It's just a case of building a nice front end, making sure it's kind of hooked together, making sure that any tweaks we need to make are done. The stuff that we wrote, which was custom, was the mining contracts, like the Federation for the allocation of Trillium to planets based on stake, and the staking. All of those were actually completed, I think, about September or October last year. What took us the longest for the initial release was the UI. UI is the hardest by far. Like the blockchain contracts are quite simple, and once it took us about 6 to 8 months to come up with the plan and the economics and everything, so that's hard. The actual coding was relatively quick, but then the UI is what we're really kind of spending most of our time on.
So to go back to, you know, what Corey said earlier, like kind of thinking of these two projects as siblings, it's funny because I've been thinking about this and this just keeps resonating in my brain, right? Like I kind of like to feel like maybe Alien Worlds and Uplift are headed in like very similar directions, like almost to the same place, but from different places, you know what I mean? And like, you know, like for you guys, you had to design the UI and work from that direction. I mean, we didn't really have to design a UI. It was there. It was built into the Minecraft game. We're working in the other direction, right? So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where they can collaborate, where they can collide, where they can overlap, where they can, you know, come from different angles and you know, give, you know, different ideas to different, you know.
EOS USA is going to find a way to nestle right in between those two and just make this magic happen.
I heard you like nestling.
I do. Cuddling, nestling.
Mostly coward, you know, in the fetal position in the corner when the fire truck gets there quick enough.
That's true. I mean, the head of my hands and just kind of rocking uncontrollably.
Fixing the server. Yeah, I mean, you have a UI, but you don't have a UX.
Yeah.
And the UX, I think, is what you need to build out on top of that. Yeah. So we decided quite early on that we're not going to do the 3D world. And I think you've done really well to take the Minecraft 3D world that's already built, because it costs millions and it's like really hard to do and really buggy, and it could just finish you off just trying to build a 3D environment. So having the Minecraft one, if you can control it properly, I think it's going to work out really well. Yeah, you just need an economic incentive on top, and you have to think about, I guess, what do you want to encourage? What do you want to incentivize? What kind of activities do you want people to do? And then just pay them to do it. That's what we do. Like
yeah, we talk about that. We talk about that a lot. Like, do we want to pay people to ride around on the roller coaster automatically all fucking day? No, we don't. But
I dispute that decision.
This DAC is bullshit. No, but that, you know, like the you know, the traveling around. Obviously, we want to, you know, at a sort of 30,000 foot layer, we want everyone to go everywhere, right? Incentivize people to do that. There's a real possibility that we'll just make it so that the owner of the land can't get any any wax for fucking around on their own land, so you have to go somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, as a potential fix, again, like we haven't made that decision yet, but we're looking at what that would mean. But yeah, and then like the basic building stuff, the basic mining stuff. There's even like the game kicks out a reward. There's like, I think there's like 20 or 30 of them, something like that. But like you'll like go all the way down to the bottom, and it's like, oh, you went deeper, blah blah blah, and you get like a little badge in the Minecraft system. But we could use that as a trigger to send out NFTs, to send out, you know, a little wax rewards or whatever it is. It's a bit like Minecraft's already set up to like just be, you know, giving us the kind of incentive model, or like just the actions that we would want to incentivize. So we're doing that. Of course, we have to get the whole first one done first, and then we can iterate. I just like that. I'm obsessed with this. I know for a fact that once we just get this basic one done, then it's just like beep boop boop, new one, right? Like it, you know, that's a technical term for devs, because that's super smart. Yeah. Beep boop, yeah. It's just like whiz bang done. The devs really love it when I talk like that.
I bet they love that. Yeah,
that's super fans. Just make the things with the magic and the yay. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get murdered in my sleep pretty soon, but you know. It'll be worth it.
Be worth it.
But I thought it was interesting what Rob said last night about well, yesterday morning, I guess, for you guys. But what he said about like the maximum, was it like the maximum stake for each planet that is kind of built into the Alien Worlds thing? Like, I thought, like, Corey, I was thinking about that. Like, it's, you know, you said you can do it one time a day. You can go see the Bitcoin monument, right? Like, you can get that. One Satoshi, right? Like, I think that's a good thing to like kind of, you know, put into these gaming contracts, right? So like you're never going to be able to stop everyone from gaming it, right? Like, I mean, I could teach my daughter how to go back and forth from one place to another place all day, and she'd probably love it. And then I could go, you know, do cool stuff. But like, I'm not going to do that, by the way, because I really like my daughter and she spends too much time on video games as it is, and she's only.
I was about to say, I mean, Princess has got her own college fund. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, but like I think it's like really like. Do you want to maybe? I'm just curious, like why you or what brought on that implementation, right? Like, so you kind of with that like Alien Worlds like staking thing, you kind of put like a safeguard in place, like so that you like one planet just couldn't like take all the miners. Like I just kind of a little bit curious on why that was designed in or how that design feature came about.
It's very simple, really. It's just it was just a cross check to make sure that no one planet can dominate at the expense of the others. So that there has to be a little bit of, yeah, we're very worried that there would be one large whale who would come and just take over a planet, take all the trillium, and then just keep it for themselves and kind of do that kind of thing. So there's quite a few different mechanisms in there to stop large token holders from getting too much control. So for example, also there's you only have 2 votes per token, but there's 3 required to take over. So if you're a large token holder, you can't vote with all of your tokens to 2 people and take over. You have to split it into 2 accounts and then vote 2 sets of 2 to take over a planet. So you kind of half your ability to take over, and that's kind of worked quite well with EOS DAC. And then yeah, the planet thing is literally just to stop any one planet from gaining too much control, because every time you receive trillium, it's at the expense of another planet. There isn't more trillium allocated the more that's staked. It's split. There's a certain amount coming out, and that's split between the planets. So one planet can take from other planets by staking more. So we just wanted to reduce that ability a little bit. And it's something we're still actually tweaking as well. We're kind of working on making sure that one planet doesn't just get crazy amounts of trillium at the expense of everybody else, because it's going to ruin the game for everybody, isn't it? If one guy's taking it all.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to what I think Corey was thinking about with the rewards-based system. You know, and I think that's really important factor is like, yeah, you want people to be able to come in and enjoy and have fun, and you don't want one person to be able to like basically take all of the profit and just leave, because it's unsustainable, right? It's basically like Walmart in any small town, you know, in any, you know, small town around the world, right? Once that one Walmart comes in, everyone goes there. Even though they might detest it, even though they might dislike it, you can get everything there. You can save your time, and the local, you know, shops downtown basically close, and everyone moves to the outskirts.
Yeah,
and I think it's a really important aspect, right?
I mean, we have to understand that there are always going to be whales. There's in any system, there's the Pareto distribution. There's going to be 80-20, but you just have to kind of make things a bit fairer for people on every strata of the game. And we have people in different, like we have huge landowners who make loads of money, loads of trillium every week. They're getting paid out. But then we also have the guys who join with nothing and they just have one shovel, and we want to make it so that everybody can kind of work within their limits as well. You know, the guy with one shovel is never going to reach 200,000 or 300,000 trillium overnight. He's going to work up, but we have to allow that working up without kind of the idea that you can never make it to that level, because people have, you know, people do work their way up, and we've seen it already. So yeah, you have to give some hope to everybody on the ladder.
True.
Yeah,
well,
I think that's what people talk about when they talk about fairness. You know, it has to be equal opportunities, but not necessarily equal wealth for everybody. A lot of people want to see it that everybody has the same amount of trillium, but that's never going to happen. It's always going to be that there's people that have more and people that have less. But as long as the people that have more don't completely crush the ability for the people who have less to make, then it's a good system.
Absolutely. So I know we're getting close on the I guess we're over the hour limit on this point, but did want to talk about a few things. Yates, are you coming on some of the later shows on some of the DAC Factory and whatnot? Are we getting to hang out a little bit more later today?
Good question. I think so.
Well, I know that we've got some sessions starting in a couple of hours talking about DAC Factory and some of the planetary governance and things like that. So just wanted to plug in that, you know, a little bit later on. I don't think it's not on this channel, but on some of the Zoom calls and it'll be on the YouTube channels as well.
Yeah, I think I'm on. Yeah, I'm on at some point. I'm going to be around a couple of times. I need to work out exactly. There's this big calendar thing here.
There you go. Like I say, well, I'll be there with you. So happy to pick that wonderful brain of yours to get some more information out about things. But just wanted to kind of drop that out there. I do have another meeting I'm about to have to run to, but always been a pleasure to catch up with you and learn some of the inner workings of behind the scenes. Corey, Jimmy, you guys have any other questions or?
I just want to actually address one thing in the comments from IM. You know, comments have been a little bit quiet today. It's cool. It means people, I think, probably listening and got a lot out of it. But IM, that's awesome that you said I've got to learn how to Minecraft. But I will tell you, there is time to still play the Alien Worlds game. It's pretty simple. You know, you sign in with your Wax account. You can go in. They'll actually, you know, suggest a plot of land that you can mine the first time that you go in there, and you can search for other ones. And then there's basically a timer, and you can go in, and it's not the time that you need to go into the place and mine is more of a concern than the learning curve to be able to mine. I mean, if you can sign into a wallet, you can mine. So I just kind of wanted to point that out there, right? Like like Corey said, the tokenomics and the drive to, like, you know, be able to make gaming profitable. I think what you guys did was really easy, and it's a really simplified interface, especially with the Wax wallet. I don't know what it's like on the Ethereum side, but I'm assuming it's probably very similar. It's just a different
expensive.
There's no Ethereum side for mining. Mining would not work on Ethereum. It would cost you. It would cost you $5 to mine.
Yeah, like, dude, CryptoKitties killed that chain. There would be no way to do it meaningfully in any way, shape, or form. Unless it'd be like a billionaire circle jerk is what it would be like.
I don't use Ethereum. No,
I would drive the cost of Trillium through the roof if every time you mined it cost you $5 in gas.
It would be a billionaire circle jerk, which I don't know if that's such a bad thing. But
well, that's if you're a billionaire, it's like yay, right? And if you can get up there, then like yay. But if you're not, then it's like not yay.
It's not so great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of what Ethereum is, though, is that, right? Like, that's what DeFi is, and that's what the art market on Ethereum is, right? So I apologize. I just assumed that you could, because it was split, like, between Ethereum and
yeah, we have the token which exists on Ethereum, but we're not. The gameplay all exists on Wax at the moment. We're thinking of some billionaire games to play on the Ethereum side, but for the moment.
So how do you, like, so I guess in order to play, then you need a Wax Cloud wallet, which is all that I use anyway. But and then so so the tokens on Ethereum are utilized, like how are they transferred across? Are they transferred across within the wallet?
We have a bridge which you can transfer them between, but for most people, they wouldn't really transfer them to Ethereum. Ethereum is more for the larger sums. Like if you're dealing with the small amounts and you want to play the game, then you just stay on Wax. You wouldn't need to transfer them onto Ethereum. Ethereum is more for, yeah, the larger holders and the people who want the security of the Ethereum blockchain to hold the tokens.
I'd actually personally like to hear about that aspect of it. Like, I know we don't have time today, but like maybe if you come back some other time, you know, and join me and Corey, like it was a really interesting discussion for me. So hopefully, you know, you could come and enlighten us on some of that.
If you wait a week or two, you might already have some of those extra features and whatnot, right? I know that. I mean, the bridge is working. I know we're running an Oracle and going back and forth, but yeah, I mean, every week is a new feature from Yeates. So.
Yeah, we have the bridge. We just don't have a UI for the bridge, so normal people aren't doing it. But we have transferred 800 million tokens over to the Ethereum side. which are locked. They're locked on the WAG side, and they've been issued on the Ethereum side.
Well, was that pretty much it? Any other hot topics that came up in the chat comments?
I think we got most of them. I mean, yeah, I think we got through the majority of it. I mean, I guess if you want to, learn more, you can go and check out the Telegram channel. I know, Michael, you're really active in there, whether it's out of just a love of community or whether it's that you like being in there. I'm not really sure. I know for me,
it's great. It's a great community in there, so
yeah.
Come and join.
Yeah, I've heard that you're like one of the most active people in that community channel. So that's.
I'm losing the ability to keep up. It's moving so fast now.
There's thousands of accounts and so many projects.
If you look at Discord, that's kind of like we have our own Discord, but there's loads of channels within there. And then there's other groups who have made their own Telegrams and Discords, and it's just like it's becoming very difficult to kind of keep one view of it all. And I've lost that just recently. I've lost that. I don't know what's going on half the time.
I know for a fact that's going to happen when players start getting into the game, because I've been trying to visit like everybody's build, and we're not open yet, and I can't, right? So when it's like every single plot, it's going to get so out of control so fast.
Yeah,
and even the Telegram channels.
Of keeping everybody and like keeping an eye on everyone and visiting everything, but then
also no. It's like we need to invent like many time machines and just have like 1,000 days a day, and then because I absolutely love connecting with people on that level, but I even just as early as it is for us, I know you guys are way bigger. That would be like an impossible task.
It's tricky. It's tricky. But I do my best. Yeah. So alienworlds.io is the kind of place you want to start. That's got links to the game, Telegram, Discord, everything you want to know is on there.
Sounds good. Jimmy, you want to do the thing?
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us, and hopefully see you back here again sometime, Michael and Michael.